So we are here. We are live, I believe, for Spotlight Sunday. Okay, we are here with, so I noticed like some places on Facebook, it just says Christie and some it says Christie Lee. So like, what do you like to go by?
Okay, so everyone that asks me that question, I never know. It's never really bothered me, and I honestly don't ever pay attention to what people actually call me.
Okay.
I think most people go with Christie Lee.
Okay.
But yeah, no, either way, we're good.
Okay. Well, it's important to know who we're talking to, so get that out of the way. So let's go with Christie Lee, if that's what you said most people go. Okay. So this is Christie Lee for Spotlight Sunday. Before we dive in, we'll just have you introduce yourself so we can get to know more about you. Just tell us, you know, about you as a person and then kind of about your business and how you got started.
It's telling me I'm disconnected, so I'm guessing you can still hear me.
I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, so hi, I'm Christie Lee. So I am a single mum of 4 little girls. I have been working on my business for quite a while now, so going into 3 years, and I've just started a blog, which has nothing to do with the first business, but sort of incorporates. So I'm from Sydney. I'm 36, and yeah, I'm just sort of doing my thing, doing my little side hustle.
Okay, cool. So you have your first business is like health and wellness type stuff, right?
Yeah. So if you're in England, you might have heard of us as well. And it's starting, I think it's coming to America soon. So I work for a massive company called The Healthy Mummy. I'm a consultant, and it's not a franchise. We're not allowed to class it as a franchise. And we're not MLM. So we own our own area, but still not allowed to class ourselves as a franchise. And it's basically teaching mums how to get back in shape by eating healthy, but never starving, never under eating, all that. And just how to work out at home as well. So no gym fees, nothing like that. So meal plan, exercise routines that you can do at home with the kids, with babies on your back and with carriers and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you said though that that's the one that you're kind of moving away from to do your new business, right? Or you're just you're like in the middle right now doing both?
Yes. So I joined that 3 years ago. I actually started with The Healthy Mummy as trying to lose weight, which was 3 years ago. And I did so well. I was like, wow, this is the first thing I've ever stuck to ever. I mean, anything, not just weight loss, in anything. And it was so easy, and it was so much fun that I ended up applying to become a consultant, and then they kept knocking me back. Well, actually, they kept ignoring me, and I was like, wow, okay. They've got their own Facebook group, and I started becoming very well known on the Facebook group, and then they ended up approaching me after me applying for like 15 times, but they ended up coming to me and asking if I wanted to be a consultant. So I was actually mainly one of the first consultants ever on.
Wow.
It's been wonderful and it's been great, but I don't want to have to run to someone else's rules anymore. I'm still very controlled of what I can say and what I can produce, and like content creation and all that sort of thing. So that's why I've chosen to do Mum, That's a Bad Word, because I've got a bit of a foul mouth.
I love it too. I was looking at your blog the other day and just cracking up. You're freaking hilarious. For anyone who hasn't actually talked to Christie Lee, she's hilarious. So
I've always got to warn people, and it's funny because my friends have always done it, and I've never realized how bad my mouth is. Okay, so everyone who ever like brings over a new boyfriend or partner or even just their friends to meet me, they all say, just watch her, because she says everything that comes to her head straight away, like to her mind. I can't help it. It's like verbal diarrhea sometimes, but it works. So
it works. That's so funny. You like come with a disclaimer. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Same way. I like every time
I'll probably put that on my website. Actually, disclaimer.
That's hilarious. That is so funny. So I love people like that. I'm always drawn to people like that anyway. So just say exactly what you think. It's perfect.
Awesome.
pull up our live here so I can see if we have any questions. Anybody that is watching live, always say hi. I see Victoria. And let us know if you have any questions as we go. Before we dive in to what we're going to learn from Christie Lee today, though, I always have to ask everyone my branding question. So what is your definition of branding and how does it affect your business?
I'm going to say what you hate. So I always thought it was the bloody logo. I used to automatically think branding logo, branding name. Over the last few months, especially within your group, I've learned that it is absolutely not the logo. Okay. Look, in all honesty, I would say it's everything now. It's my approach. It's my my name standing out from the other like mummy bloggers. Really just, I think it's everything incorporated, and it makes me exactly who I am. It makes me, if you're scrolling, you know who I am, what I do, because there's no getting around it with the name or the logo. Wine. But yeah, I think it's just everything that makes me unique to the oversaturated sort of industry, so.
Perfect. I love it. And I love how you said how it's kind of changed. That's perfect. That's exactly what my goal is for this group.
Well, you're on the floor, baby. You're on the floor.
Okay, cool. So let's dive in then. Let's just jump in and how you want to do this thing. You're running the show, lady.
Well, I always love being a center of attention. Well, everything that I had planned out, I bullet pointed, but it's on my phone. I don't know if we've explained, but I actually smashed my phone and I had my laptop getting fixed. I went and got it this morning and it wouldn't connect. So now everything that I have is in that phone. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a rundown of why I started the first business and why I've gone on to the second. And then we'll talk about how I deal with all my issues with food, exercise. Of course, I'm not saying I'll get to that point anyway. Okay, so 3 years ago, I encountered the first death I've ever encountered. I had never lost anyone. And then 3 years ago, it was 4 years ago, I lost my brother-in-law. I hadn't been very close to him, but it was to suicide. And it was really, really quite overwhelming to see how his family sort of reacted. And because I'd never dealt with death at all, I was like, I don't understand, how can such a happy-go-lucky young bloke, he was doing commercials, he was acting, he was doing really, really well. Hilarious motherfucker. I am not sorry. I know I just said that word. The only way you can describe him. And then I seen how they were all reacting and I was like, wow, that's really hard. Fast forward a year, my best friend and soulmate, God rest his soul, also took his life. He was a very proud gay man, but in our area, it wasn't accepted. And he was my absolute best friend. We'd been best friends since childhood. And I don't know, everything sort of just went to shit after that. And I hit a really, really deep depression. I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder when I was pregnant with my first daughter. So I always had my ups and downs and things like that. I'm not sure if you guys know about bipolar, but no, it's not 4 different seasons in a day like they say. You can up and down and all around. It's usually quite long periods of time where I'm depressed, and then there's long periods of time where I'm manic and I think I'm freaking super mum and I can do everything and my house is spotless and I'm cooking and cleaning and doing all of that. When he passed, I put on a lot of weight very, very quickly because I ate to deal with the emotion. I drank a lot. I took to drinking a lot of wine. I still drink a lot of wine, but nowhere near as much. And I was actually a bit of a mess for quite a while. It ended up leading to a relationship breakdown I had with my daughter's father. I had remarried and had a baby, and he was just had no idea how to handle me, but I didn't know how to handle me either. So I decided that it was about 4 weeks after he passed, I decided I'd put on 10 kilos in 4 weeks, by the way. That's how bad it was. And that was mostly from copious amounts of wine. My poor children were staying with my mum a lot of the time because I was just writing myself off. I just couldn't deal with it. I didn't know how to deal with it. So I actually was talking to him. Yes, I know he was gone, but I was talking to him in the car, and it was about 4 weeks after he died, and I'm like, that's it. what am I doing, Adam? Give me some guidance here. I need to know where I'm going. And I was either going to move or I was hoping I was going to apply one last time to Healthy Mummy. And that's when they approached me, and it was like literally that day. So that's how the business got started. And I was like, wow, I lost 17 kilos in about 6 weeks. Wow. And it was not from under eating, it was over, like eating more, but healthier. So I learned a lot. I learned all about nutrition. I learned all about meal planning, meal prepping. I learned about how to deal with my emotional eating, which was pretty much basically what was, you know, controlling me at the time. And after about 3 months, my business just went boom. And it went from having like about 400 followers to having about 7,500. Wow. And it was like, it just went crazy quick, and I was like, what the frick is going on? And then I started doing these sorts of lives, and I've been interviewed by some like huge people. I've had myself and my daughter, we prep every Sunday now. One Sunday every month. We prep for the entire month.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's huge. And we've had the Daily Mail Sun from England, and we've had so many people like do massive big things about us, and it's been cool. It was really great. And it's the reason I kept going, because I've had a lot in that time happen as well, was because I started having so many women say, thank you for changing my life. It's like, you don't understand. You might not think it was such a big deal, but I've had women lose 60 kilos. 60 kilos of half their body weight.
Yeah.
And I got into this amazing rhythm, and I started really, really like coming and making this business so that I didn't need any other work situation. So I was literally just at home with my children. And then last year in December, my partner, like I said, my partner and I had broken up when my best friend passed. And then even though we lived separately, we had gotten back together for a year. And then in February 2017, we broke up, but we remained very good friends, like very good friends. He was my best friend. We just couldn't work together. And then he was from South Africa, and in December, he told me he was going home because he wanted to be with his family. And that was on the Sunday. And then the Wednesday, I had gotten a call late at night to say that he had killed himself as well. Oh, no. So I was like, okay, this is my baby, you know, sitting down telling your children that their father and stepfather had just taken his life. The depression was too much for him. He didn't ever want to talk about it. He was South African, and they do hold strong beliefs that black men, especially men, but black men don't ask for help. That's just not what they do. You know, you deal with it, you get over it, but he just couldn't. He was the only one of his family that was here as well. So when we broke up, he literally had no one, you know, he had nothing. And he turned to drugs and things like that, and it was just a mess. So it was after that I sort of started backing off from Healthy Mummy, and not because I was like, I hated it or I didn't feel like it was working. It was just because I didn't have the energy to put into it. I was obviously a mess, obviously. That's what happens when, you know, the love of your life and the father of your baby does that sort of thing, and, you know, finishes complete suicide. So it was a bit of a shit case. It wasn't until June, I would say, that I brought myself out of it. And the reason it took me so long, because I'm pretty strong, right? I can do I can get through a shitload and keep going. Before he passed in December, we lost, because we broke up and I had no income. I had Healthy Mummy, but it started being less and less and less. I was finding it I was struggling with the breakup as well. I was struggling with being alone. I was struggling raising children, and I'd started making less and less money, and I ended up losing my home. So myself and my 4 children lived in my mum's converted garage for 6 months because we had nowhere else to go. We had no money. Every cent that I was earning from Healthy Mummy was going straight on debts that we had accumulated together, but he had no job, so I had taken on the stress of pretty much all the debts, which added to his stress because he hated seeing me struggle. And seeing us lose our home pretty much put him over the edge, and that was it. Then it was only this year, only a few months ago, that I started, again, working really hard towards my business and things, but it just never felt this year it's been really hard for me to connect with Healthy Mummy. I think because I've got so much happening within my own life, and I've managed to get myself a house now. It's a beautiful house, you know, and we're stable. And even though I drive a death trap, you know, I'm saving to get a house and a car and all these wonderful things now. And I had no outlet, and that's where Mum, That's a Bad Word come along. I've always been a writer. It's one thing I've always loved doing. I love writing. I love content creation. I love making people laugh, and people are always like, but you've had such a fucking sad life. And I'm like, I know, right? And somehow I still manage to find the humor in it all. So when I started writing, I think I only started Mum, That's a Bad Word about 2 months ago now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And it's growing like so quickly, like it's going. And I still don't actually know what I'm doing it for other than a creative outlet. But I've had so many people approach me and say, you know, do you want to collaborate? Do you want to do this? And not just you, but I've had other people like contact me and say, will you come and do a podcast? Will you do this? Will you do that? Like I released, you're in America, you would see the whole Kavanaugh thing, whatever his name is. So I actually wrote my own blog about it, and I've had people ask me if I'll talk about rape and you know, sexual assault and things like that. It's just like, wow, I didn't think it would go that far, but it has. So I'm really hoping to eventually, even though I'll always be a healthy mummy, don't get me wrong, I'll always eat well, I'll always do that sort of thing. I'm really hoping to concentrate on Mum, That's a Bad Word now.
Yeah.
So one of the things I wanted to speak to you about, I was watching last week about the financial getting yourself in front. And I was like, oh my God, because I'm terrible with my budget, right? Terrible with my budget. But one place that I save a lot of money is meal prep and meal planning. I meal plan, like I said, I meal plan for the month. And one Sunday, my daughter, who's the cook, let me tell you, I just do whatever she tells me because I am the worst cook. My daughter's a mad little chef. She eats my food and she's like, no, Mum. She's really brilliant. So I've started saving like up to $600 a month on groceries just by meal and prepping. So at the end of this, I'll actually give you a full ebook as well that we can like give to everyone who's watching, and it's actually step by step on meal planning and prepping so that there's no more time in the kitchen. Like you can literally smash, and if you only got time to do like a week's worth, again, you'll still save money and you'll still save your sanity. And I don't know if a lot of you guys are mums, but that freaking question every day of your life, Mom, what's for dinner? Like, I want to kill you all. Basically, I'm willing to throw you in the pot, all right? But there's none of that anymore. So.
I don't have kids, but it's
it's still the same. Well, I don't have the husband, so I don't have that pressure, but the kids are like, Mom. But so pretty much that. The other thing is when I started eating right and working out, which I had never done before, I was always a very thin child. I was always a very thin teenager, but I was also very unhealthy. Skinny does not equate healthy. I starved myself. I drank to excess. I was addicted to drugs, which I've been clean for nearly 12 years. I was, like I said, a heavy drinker, and I literally didn't eat. And when I did eat, it was to the point where I would binge and make myself sick. So I never had the problem of being overweight or feeling like, not happy within myself. I was always like that tiny little thing. And then all of a sudden I wasn't. And what the frick? How did this happen? I don't know what's going on. And I found that my bipolar disorder and the symptoms and the side effects to like what bipolar does to you is always much worse when I'm not eating right and working out. So when I figured out that by meal planning and eating right, and I don't go without a thing. I eat pizza, I eat dessert every day. We have chocolate every day. It's just all homemade stuff now. It's made from scratch, so I know exactly what's going into it. And it sounds like a massive amount of work, but it's so not. It really is once you get it down pat, it's like bam, 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 we're done. No kitchen for a month.
Yeah,
so,
I'm like super interested in this. Like, I can't wait for this ebook.
Honestly, it is so good. Yeah. This ebook. So my company took on 2 other consultants. There's consultants all over now. Don't get me wrong. But there was 2 main girls, and they were really, really great at this meal prepping. So they've been classed as the meal prepping queens now. And they literally get sent to people's homes and do a full month's worth of cooking for them. And we buy them like massive big freezers to stack it all in and things like that. Like, it's a really great company. And so many, like, I think they've got about 200,000 people on their group now, the main group, and they do massive meal preps, and it really does have a huge effect on your mental health. One, not having that constant what to eat, what to do today, do I have to go to the shops again, do I have to go shopping, because that's like, that messes with my head, right? I'm like, what do I have to do today, you know? And I'm not a list person, I'm not the type of person that follows a list, but this meal plan is all done on a simple app. Like, it's all done for you. You can change whatever you like, dietary like requirements and things like that. And then it prints out your shopping list, and that's it. You can do it online or whatever else. So it's been life-changing for so many people. Yeah, that sounds amazing. I wish I'm gonna look for something like that here, like a month's worth of. They just do it for you. That's what you said. Like, they meal prep for you. Yeah. Well, so. Most of the women do it for themselves, but these 2 girls, they actually, it's more competitions that you can win. So each week they go to someone else's house. Actually, I'm actually really interested to see in one of them, because she's just said that she was 6 months pregnant. So I doubt she'll be going to too many people's houses every week to cook a month's worth of food. But I know there's a lot of companies like, so you're in a different country. I know HelloFresh. I'm not sure if you guys get that. Yeah, we have it. Yeah, I know they do a lot of those things, but these girls actually buy the groceries, they prep them, they cut them, they make the entire meals, and they cook them all for you as well. So there's absolutely no cooking whatsoever. And you've got 400 bloody easy, quick, reheatable meals that are healthy. So that's amazing. I'm so excited. Like, I've tried to do this one time before. Like, I think it was only for like 2 weeks at a time that I was trying to meal prep. What happened was I spent all day in the kitchen while I was drinking wine. And then I realized later that like half of the meals were not made correctly. Like, there was one that was supposed to be this like chicken soup stuff, and I never put any chicken in it. I'm like, okay, I need a better system. Vegetarian now, you're fine. It's good. That was totally on purpose. I was like, I tend to drink the wine. I tend to drink the wine when I'm cooking, because I hate cooking. It's actually, I would rather vacuum, mop, do the dishes. I'd rather clean the kitchen after the cooking. That's how much I hate it. Whereas my daughter loves it. So I'm usually got like quite a few wines in my hand when I do it. But she's like I said, she's the cook. And she loves cooking. It's her thing. She wants to, become a chef later on. So it worked well for me. Yeah. It works great. Yeah. The other thing is, I felt like when I realized how beneficial it was to my mental health, I just knew that the first few times I was like, hold on. There we go. You're back. Are you still there? Yep. Okay. The first few times we did it, I felt like it was really overwhelming, because you're learning. Like, I'd never done anything like that before, and I was like, I don't want to do this. It's so draining, and I spent 8 hours in the kitchen. But we've managed to get like a whole month's worth of food down to about 4 hours in the kitchen. Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, it took us a good probably 4 or 5 times to figure out what was quickest and things like that. And we have we've taken to, when we do a big shop, we chop straight away. Whatever we get, we do straight away. We prep it, and then we like that big cook at the end of the week. So it just takes off so much time. Yeah. And it is food. Like, I ended up talking to my doctor when I first started and really got into it. And I was on about 4 medications for my bipolar and anxiety, and now I'm on nothing. Oh my gosh. So wow. Take nothing at all. Even through the suicides, my partner's death, last year, my ex-partner's death, I still didn't get back on medication because I was just continuing to eat and work out and eat and work out. I actually took up running when he passed because I felt like I needed that pain. I needed that hard hitting pain. I've never run in my life, and I'm like running like 20 Ks now, and I have no problems doing it.
Wow.
So it's I did it with my doctor. That's what I was going to say at the start of it. I do not advise you guys, please don't go, oh, look, I can get off my medication for mental health issues. No, please don't do that. That is not going to work well. I come off over about it took us about 7 months, and with my doctor's strict supervision, we cut down. I was on quite a few heavier drugs for it because of the depression from Adam and things like that. So, but yeah, when Jay died, I didn't need it, and I've been off medication for about 2.5 years. That's
amazing. Yeah. Like that blows my mind. I love it. Congratulations. I love it.
Crazy. It's crazy because, you know, all my life since I had my first baby, I've been on medication, like up and down and things like that. I've always had to change. But yeah, food and exercise. Who knew? Yeah. Who bloody knew that could change my life? Just ever. But
that's amazing. Because I know, like, I don't take any medications, but like some of my close family members do, and I know that they talk about how they just, some of them, like, they make them feel funny and they just don't want to take it. So like it's so inspiring to hear that there's a possibility that they might not have to, you know. Just I love it. Yeah. So interesting.
Found it really so the medications I was taking, one was an antipsychotic. I was it sounds like I was a crazy person completely, but it wasn't actually that. It was to I was having episodes where I was blacking out and didn't know what was going on. And I think that was because I've always had this. So when I was a child, I was sexually abused. So from the time I was about 7 to the time I was about 12, I've actually got no memory. And I'm not talking like no memory, like, oh, I don't remember. I mean, if I wasn't still here, I would think that I never existed from that moment. Yeah, it's amazing what your mind can do.
Yeah.
So absolutely no memory. So now when I deal with things, I have this weird ability to go, yeah, never happened, it didn't happen. And I think that's why I always really needed medication. And because when my body finally went, you can't do this anymore, you have to start dealing with shit because this is bad for you and you're going to lose your damn mind, I actually started losing my damn mind. So I was having these massive blackouts, and they put me on Epilum, which is actually a epileptic. It's for epileptics to stop me from having the psychotic episode. And they fucked with my head bad. Like they, to the point where I was worse on them with my children. Like my kids would come in and I would look at them like just no idea, had no idea. My poor kids suffered for a lot. I was on those for a good 6 months, and I just kept saying, you got to take the dose down. They're like, we can't, you know, you've got to be on this, blah, blah, blah. So when I found that healthy eating and that was starting to bring me back and stop the episodes by themselves, and then cutting right down to the point where I didn't need them, it was like, wow, this is amazing, you know, incredible.
It is. It really is. I see we have a whole bunch of comments here, so I'm going to scroll through and read them real quick. Heather's here. Hi, Heather. Yeah, she says it's amazing how fast your business grew from 500 to 7,500. Yeah.
Crazy.
Heather says you are one strong mama. Love it.
Oh, thanks, Heather.
Yeah, and then you're getting a lot of yes and right, and you're one strong mamas. And Heather says, yay, sober mom, me too. Yay. Yeah, Heather.
I wish I could say I'm completely sober, but I still drink a little bit of the wine. But otherwise, yeah, I've been clean for about 12 years.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It was good. It was hard. That was an episode in itself, let me tell you, trying to get off everything that I had always been on. I was actually the person who introduced my best friend, Adam, to drugs, because I was that person that needed to have friends who done it with them And most of my friends were smart enough not to, but poor little Adam, when I met him, I was like, just do it with me. Come on, you'll love it. The problem was I got off it and he just couldn't.
Yeah.
So it was hard.
It's hard.
It was hard for him, and yeah, it is a bit of a. So I think I'm very close with his family, and they love the fact that I write so openly about him and things like that. And I've got my bracelet for him.
I love it.
I don't know.
Up a little bit higher.
Yeah, my story isn't over yet. I'm like trying to show you, but I don't know where the camera is. So it's my story isn't over yet. So when Adam passed, a few years before that, I had actually tried to take my own life because of the depression, because of the bipolar and the drug abuse and all that sort of thing. And funny enough, he was there for me and got me through that. And then obviously it all sort of switched around, but he completed. And so ever since then, I've got tattoos for him, and I wear my bracelet everywhere I go. So,
I love it.
I think that's what I want with health, with Mum That's a Bad Word as well. The reason I do Mum That's a Bad Word is because I do have that outlet to write about suicide, about postnatal depression, which I went through, bipolar disorder. I've got this amazing platform where I can connect with other mums mostly. I find that most people that follow me are mums, because of my business that I already run, I guess, as well. So it's been really, really good because a lot of them, come to me privately. They come over and they just have a chat, and they're like, we actually feel like we know you because you've been doing this. We go through this. You go through it, So it's been really, really amazing. Actually, whole life just sort of took this whole massive turn in the last few years. I'm like,
wow. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, and it's so important too, to talk about this stuff because not a lot of people talk about this stuff. Like, it's hard, right? So it's
stigma. Yeah, there's a huge stigma still attached to it. A huge stigma. You still automatically assume that when someone says they've got a mental health condition that they're fucking crazy. Oh Jesus, you don't want your kids near them, or you don't want this. And when someone says they've got addictions, it's like, oh, junkie. But that's never going to fix the problem when you just add to the problem. So if I can, just sort of help people and guide them and let them recognize that this is a massive issue, right? Suicide in itself is still the biggest killer. In Australia, I'm not sure about America, but in Australia, it's the biggest killer of males from age 15 to 45. And it's one of sadly, it's a violent death with most males. They tend to take a violent out, like hanging or shooting and things like that. And that's something that you're left, sorry guys, you're left to deal with as a family member, as a child, as a best friend, as a father, a mother, and there's a million questions. And then everyone's sort of so worried about what they can say, what they can't say. They worry about how people will look at like Adam's family was so ashamed that they didn't want to tell anyone that he had died by suicide. And at first I was like, okay, I understand. And then I was like, I don't understand actually. Why don't you want people to know? And not that I ever questioned them. It was just a conversation that we had. And it ended up being that day that they ended up putting up on his Facebook that he died by suicide. And they were so surprised about the overwhelming amount of, positive responses and people wanting to support them. And that I thought, that's it. That's what I need to do. I need to talk about it because people are so freaking scared to say, he died by suicide. She died by suicide. And it takes on this stigma again, like, oh, how could they leave their kids? How could they do this? How could they do this? But when you're at that point where you honestly, that's where you're at, you're willing to take your own life, then they're not doing it to you. They really believe they're doing it for you.
Right.
Yeah. So that's what I'm going to talk about.
Like it's so important. Like I said, it's super powerful and it needs to be talked about everywhere. Like you said, we're in two completely different countries and it's a huge deal no matter where you are. We had the first encounter with suicide I had, it was in 8th grade. I had a classmate that killed himself. And I remember it was this huge battle with the school. Our senior year, we had a lot of people in my grade pass away. Actually, by the time we got to high school, they had a whole section in our yearbook that was dedicated to everybody that, had passed away before we graduated. And there was this huge debate about whether or not to include, his name was Brandon, in the yearbook because he had died by suicide, and everybody was like, oh my gosh, they had said that putting it in there was condoning suicide and all this crazy stuff. And it was this huge battle that went on forever. In the end, he ended up, he's in there. But I just like it's horrible. And I think it's so important to do what you're doing. And I'm so grateful that you're doing it.
I think that's like, it's funny because I still see it. I still see it here, and it's 2018 for God's sakes. But I still see it here where, you know, they'll say, oh, but talking about it's just glorifying it. It's like that show. I haven't watched it, and I refuse to because it's just too close to home for me still. But the show, that 13
the
Reasons,
Netflix one.
You know, they sexualize, and I have noticed a lot in the media and things like that. It has been sexualized. It has been glorified. It has this sort of, you know, sexy, dark appeal to it somehow. And I keep thinking to myself, but that's because we didn't talk about it for so long. It was kept in secret. It had that cloaked sort of, you know, appeal to it. So talking about it's going to not just help other people and make them realize that, you know, they're not alone. And so many of us go through this. Obviously, 1 in 3 men like have thought about it and things like that. So not being able to sexualize it as well is a really, really good thing. Yeah. And I think that talking about it will take that sort of, you know, appeal away from it and make it what it is. And it's you know, it's a permanent solution.
Yeah. To
something that, you know, you could have dealt with. So, not that I can say just deal with it, but, you know, for something temporary, it's a permanent solution for a temporary problem. You know, debt and all those things have a high suicide. So when people talk about why they, you know, tried or did complete, there's always a lot about money that you find out that they had debt and things like that, my partner included. We ended up finding out he was in about $30,000 debt, which I have no idea why, because he lived in a tiny little friggin' 1-bedroom granny flat and had nothing. I don't know where the money went. So, but, you know, the more I find out, because everything's still coming to me, obviously, I'm like, wow. So all of it just sort of snowballed. But it's problems that if he had spoken to me and a counsellor and a financial advisor, it could have been sorted. They were temporary problems, but he took a permanent solution. Now, like I said, my daughter is going to grow up not knowing why her father chose that. But that's why I'm very open with her. She knows, she's only 4, so she doesn't know what suicide means or anything like that. But she knows daddy's gone. She knows daddy's a star in the sky. She knows daddy was sick and that daddy couldn't be here anymore. My older girls knew the day that, you know, I did. I didn't lie to them because, again, I feel like people are like, yeah, but are they old enough to know? Yes, they are old enough to know, because my 13-year-old has her own sexuality, you know, identity happening, and she ended up getting so bullied that she left school, and I put her in a different school because people found out that she was bisexual, and well, you know, whatever. She's bisexual now. She actually thought she was gay, but now she's got this crush on a boy. But anyway, so she was struggling with her own sexual identity. And I was like, so what, you want me to tell my children again that if they're feeling suicidal or whatever else, that there's some sort of shame connected with it? Because statistically, one of my children are going to feel suicidal. I've got 4 kids. Statistically, one of them is going to have suicidal thoughts sooner or later. Depression, you know, it runs in my family, bipolar disorder, anxiety, all that sort of thing. By me lying to my children and saying, you know, he died, however, and that wasn't suicide, if they feel like that, they're not going to feel like they can come to me. When they do find out, or when they did find out, they're not going to feel like they could come straight to me and say, Mum, this is how I'm feeling, because I lied about it to them. And I think that's where most people go wrong. You know, they lie about it because they've still got this sort of little bit of shame, a lot of shame, however, but there's that shame connected to it. And then that, again, causes a snowball effect. So I refuse to be quiet about it now.
Yeah. That's so awesome. Like I said, I wish everybody would be more like you. I love it. It's so important.
Well, I just hope they never have to go through what I went through to get to be like me. But,
of course.
Yeah, it's been a lot. It's been a lot. But, you know, writing seen me through a lot of it as well. Not just food, not just exercise, but writing. I find that the funnier things that I can write about, the better for me mentally, I am as well. Everyone around me, it connects you on a different level when you write in a humorous way. People are like, wow, that was like funny, but I learned something as well, you know?
Yes, definitely. Victoria says, what a story so far. So glad you found something that helps so much. And thank you for talking. And that's sad and so hard, but true. And yeah, so you'll have to come back and read the comments after. But
yeah, I definitely will when I put my phone on charge, because it keeps blinking there. So I'm thinking maybe it's going to die.
No.
No, we're still good.
Well, yeah, well, this has been like super awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. And I'm, again, like this month-long prep thing for food. I'm like super intrigued. I'm really intrigued about this.
So what I'll do is when we get off here, I'll put my phone on charge, and I will, what I might do is, if it's okay with you, I'll actually just post the ebook into your group, and then whoever wants it can take it. And it's, like I said, it's just a whole bunch of recipes. It's actually a meal plan. It's got the ingredients and everything else in, and it actually teaches you step by step on what to do instead of being overwhelmed thinking, well, that's great, cook for a month, but how the fuck do we do that? Well,
yeah,
I can help you with that. And if anyone wants to chat as well, feel free to inbox me, or if they put questions under the actual ebook, I'm happy to have a chat. If they wanted to join the group as well to see so many women do it, I can always put the link at the group, but that's up to you.
Go for it. I'd love that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, you should come in. No, not that I tend to, try and think of what I'm saying. Not that I'll be there too much longer, because I'm hoping January will be when I step away and take on full-time blogging, but we'll see. We'll see.
And everybody needs to go read your new blog too, because it's freaking hilarious. I've already read.
Yes, I'm actually putting a new one up today about this, actually. So I'm actually putting a new blog up today, which will be sort of about everything that's happened to me in the last week. Like, it's been freaking crazy.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, like, I'm not even a mom, but I love it. So it's amazing.
We have lots of ladies that aren't mums following me. I've even got dads following me now, actually. They're not allowed in the private group. They're on my page, and they're all like, how do you meal prep? I'm like, really? My husband never cooked a damn thing.
I love it. That's awesome. That's perfect. So, well, thank you again so much for coming in. Like, this has been amazing.
Yeah.
I love it.
I feel so, it's been great. Thank you.
Yes. Well, we will hop off here then. And like Christie Lee said, if she'll post that in the group, if anyone has any questions, she said you're welcome to message her. But yeah, this has been amazing. Thank you for just sharing your message. It's so important, and everyone needs to hear it. And thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, guys. Oh, I've blocked you out again. Oh my gosh. Sorry, guys. All right.
All right.
I'm out. Have a great day, everyone, or night. I'm not sure where you are.
Yeah, you're like in the future. It's like 9 o'clock where I am.
Yeah, I think it's like 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock on Monday afternoon here. So I'm here tomorrow, I think.
Yeah. All right.
It's actually Monday spot.
That's so funny.
See you guys.
Bye.